Hey there, in this tutorial you're going to learn all about the different character types in iClone5. They're all displayed in front of you here, so let's get started. Okay, here's our standard G3 character, Dylan. G3 characters were standard in iClone 3 and 4, and have a wide variety of tailored motions and costumes. Next to Dylan is G5 Chuck. G5 characters are the new standard for iClone 5 and contain more detailed meshes with additional bones such as the chest bone, which can be used to simulate actions such as breathing, among many more cool new features. Beside Chuck is one of our non-standard characters, Gorf. Gorf is an iClone 5 non-standard character that shares the universal bone with the standard characters, but contains a different facial structure and facial animation panel, which you will see later. Finally, we have our non-human character, Horse. Non-human characters do not have the universal iClone bone, and therefore cannot animate using puppet motions or mix moves. They can be animated using human IK, however, and you'll see that later too. Okay, so here you can see some examples of G3 clone cloth for Dylan and Jaina. The clone cloths are basically dual layer cloths that you can customize in any image editing software with your own colors, textures, and shapes to create your own unique style of outfit. These outfits are all examples from our G3 New Look clone cloth pack. All the designs have been created in image editing software from the clone cloth templates shown on the left. I can do the same thing in iClone. All I need to do is launch any material layer, such as the diffuse layer, like I'm doing here in Photoshop. I can bring in any design or texture I'd like, and modify my outer layer of cloth. Once I'm done that, I just need to save my image, double-click the diffuse swatch to load a new pattern, and then find my saved image file. That's how to adjust the outer layer. You can also make the outer layer transparent if you adjust the opacity swatch like I'm doing here, using the same pattern. Notice that when I'm done, there is a transparent spot on the front of my character's shirt where I place the pattern to make it see-through. G5 characters currently have the default outfits available with Chuck and Gwyn, as well as a number of others available from developers. However, if you want to show a bit more skin, you can get nude bases of Chuck, Gwyn, and 4 more in the Chuck and Neighbors content pack. Nude bases allow you to create skin-tight outfits such as for a superhero, leave characters topless, or create something like a statue. G5 character parts can also be exchanged with each other, as you see me doing here. There are a number of different outfits available in both the content store and city marketplace that you can buy from both Reallusion and our awesome content developers. You can also find all the clone cloths there as well, if you think you have what it takes to create your own designs. Okay, so let's compare G5 and G3 character compatibility. I'm adding in G5 Chuck and G3 Dylan here as examples. On G5 characters, only the hair and head can be exchanged with G3 character parts. I can demonstrate this by replacing Chuck's hair with one from our G3 New Look pack. Any G3 hair you import onto a G5 head will likely need some repositioning and resizing, as the G5 character heads are actually a bit larger. Now if I try to replace Chuck's upper body with a G3 body, I'll get an error message like this one here. This is because G3 and G5 characters may look similar, but they have a number of structural differences, some of which I'll get into later. The lower body will also be unable to be replaced. However, you can see the full compatibility as I replace Dylan's parts with G3 Jaina. I can replace both the lower and upper body and turn Dylan into a woman. I mentioned before that G3 and G5 heads are mutually compatible, so if I go into the head section, you can see that I can safely import Gwyn's head onto the G3 body. Like I mentioned before, the head is a little larger, so you'll have to either resize or replace the current hair. I'll give her some G3 rock band hair as a replacement that fits a little better. Okay, now here's a G3 New Look character and a G5 character. First, I'll demonstrate the new chest bone that the G5 characters have. If I go into the avatar proportion panel here, you'll see that there's an option for chest bone. If I select that, you can see that the modifications will modify the entire upper torso, and not only the breasts themselves. This bone also makes it possible for the characters to simulate breathing, something that G3 characters can't do. Notice that when I go over to the G3 character and do the same thing, I'm unable to select the chest bone in the avatar proportion panel. If I try to expand the width, the whole character will expand because I haven't selected a body part. However, G3 characters are still able to be modified. One other difference between G3 and G5 characters is the teeth. If I go into the mouth modification section, you'll see that the G3 character's teeth are just a simple image in the mouth. Meanwhile, if I skip over to the G5 character, you can see that her teeth are 3D and look a lot more realistic. This is good for close-ups of your character's talking face. Now, if I go into wireframe mode here, you can see that the polygon count on my character's faces are a bit different. The G5 character has slightly more polygon detail in the face, to give it more realistic facial expression and animation. If I zoom out a bit, you can see it slightly better. If I replace G3 Robin with G3 Jaina, you can see the same difference between G3 Jaina and G5 Gwen. Okay, next I'm going to demonstrate non-human characters by starting off with this clone bone of a horse here. A clone bone model is basically just a template from which you can build your own unique looking character. Basically what you need to do is add in body sections and attach them to the colorful dummies that make up the skeletal structure of the clone bone character. Here I'm going to give this horse a rather unique head. I'll go into my props and drag in a bowling pin. I need to do two things here. 1. Resize the pin, and 2. Remove its physics properties, since it's originally a physics prop. Next, what I'm going to do is attach it to the head of my horse skeleton here. After I do that, I can go into the hierarchy structure of the horse and cause it to snap to the rotation and position of that bone. You'll see that the pin will move to the head area, and I'll just rotate it into the proper position here and resize it a bit as well. So now I have a horse with a bowling pin head. You can add on other stuff to other body parts as well. You can see that when I apply an animation to the horse, the bowling pin will now act as the head, following rotation and position. Okay, so here's two other non-human characters. The horse has a few default motions as part of its persona, as you can see here, but the orc character here doesn't. The only way to animate non-human characters is through traditional keyframe editing. You can do this by using the Edit Motion Layer tool. When I select my orc character and then select Edit Motion Layer, you'll see that a hierarchy panel will come up. Since it's not a standard iClone character, the typical Edit Motion Layer panel does not come up, and you'll see the character bone hierarchy instead. Here you can individually manipulate every bone in the character's body as you see me doing here. Just click any body part and use the W and E hotkeys for position and rotation adjustment. If you want to use the Move command on a non-human character's limb, you'll need to hold down the Control key and select the parent limb first. It will highlight, and then you can do a normal select of the child limb and move it by using the W hotkey and the movement gizmo. I can animate the horse here using motion key editing by simply going ahead a little on the timeline and then adjusting the rotation of the head here. Just a few simple rotations, and then I can play back and see the result of my horse's head movement. This is our G3 non-standard character Jimmy Toon and G5 non-standard character Gorf. As I mentioned before, each character contains the iClone universal bone structure, and therefore can be animated using any of iClone's various animation tools such as Human IK, Body Puppet Motion, or Mixed Moves. Jimmy Toon also has his own special facial templates in the Facial Puppet panel. He can animate his face just like any conventional standard iClone character. Gorf, on the other hand, has Facial Puppet profile templates as well, but he also comes with his own customized facial expression template. It works a little differently from the traditional Facial Puppet panel, and you can really drag your mouse around to get some pretty unique expressional transitions. If you want to start from scratch, you can go check out the iClone Clonebone templates available at the Content Store. This one on the left has an included head that you can texture and shape as you please. The face is already rigged, as you can see when I apply some puppet motions to it. However, let's delete that one and start from the other clone bone. Just like in the example with clone bone Zach, I first want to import in a prop or model to use on my character. I'm going to make this character barrel-chested, so what I'll do is bring in a barrel first. I'll follow the same procedure as with the previous example and attach it to the chest bone. Again, snapping to rotation and location, and then making minor position adjustments later. If I go to the actor accessories section, I can simply double-click any of the accessories, and they'll automatically add on to the correct part of the skeleton, as they've already been rigged to previous characters. So let's skip ahead to the facial area. You'll notice there's a strange white bit sticking out from the head bone here, which acts as the jaw of my character so he can talk. What I'll do first though is add in an upper head here. I'll just choose this thief hat from the Mr. Pose content pack, but you can use whatever prop you'd like. Again, just follow the same procedure for attachment and repositioning as shown before. Next, I've dragged in this police hat from the same pack that I'm going to put upside down and use as a mouth. After I've done the attaching and repositioning, I'll have something that looks like this. Make sure when you're attaching this time though, that you go further into the hierarchy to select the jaw, then complete your repositioning from there. Once everything's attached, you can see that if I go into the facial puppet panel, although my character has no emotion to show, I can still move his head in a natural way for speech. What I'm doing now is just entering in a text-to-speech here. When I'm finished this, you can see my character's jaw will now move to simulate speech. After that's finished, I can record over to give him some natural head movement while he talks.
Hey, what's up? My name is Police Head.
Finally, just like with other characters, you can import personas onto your new character, just like in the previous example. I've imported Chuck's persona to my barrel-chested, shotgun-handed friend here, so I can right-click him and get him to perform Chuck's hello motion. Watch out for that gun hand. I've made some more final modifications to my character here now, so if I want to save him, I can simply go to the Custom tab of the Avatar section, select the little plus key in the Content Manager, and then enter in a name for my new character. CloneBot Zach here is created from the custom clone bone as well, and is available as a bonus content download from Reallusion. Every single part of Zach's body is attached to the custom bone, just like I demonstrated with my hero character earlier. If you put the time and effort in, you can come up with something just like this by yourself, so try it out.